Hi, thank you so much for your attention. Today we're going to talk about the Cultural History Program with Boulder County Parks and Open Space, which I am a part of and you are a part of as well. So thank you very much. I am Cheryl Kippen, Cultural History Program Coordinator, and I'm going to share a PowerPoint with you. And so I'll probably become very small on the screen, or maybe I'll even disappear, so that hopefully you can focus on what I am sharing. Here we go. I will begin sharing. All right, please excuse my technical difficulties. As we know, sharing the screen is a little bit different all the time, so we just try our best. All right, well, first of all, welcome to Cultural History with Boulder County Parks and Open Space. And today I'm going to talk about our Cultural History Work Group, sites that we care for and that folks can visit, as well as our artifact collection management. First of all, here's our work group. Myself, Cheryl Kippen, the Cultural History Program Coordinator. I'm a full-timer and I have been doing museums now as of 2026 in the summer for 31 years. And it is fun and a lot of variety every single day. I've been with Boulder County for 15 years. I oversee our volunteers and programming at Walker Ranch Homestead and at Altona School, and also doing some coordination, especially between the seasons, at the Nederland Mining Museum and the Assay Office Museum. I hope I've remembered everything. Um, our work group again, here's myself. We have our Nederland Mining Museum coordinator, who is a seasonal, who comes to us usually at the end of April through early November. And we are very lucky that we have a fifth year seasonal with us this year returning. But I'm not including names or photos of our seasonals so that we can use this perhaps year after year because they do change, their lives change, and sometimes they come back to us, which is awesome, but other times they have to move on. We also have senior tax workers, especially at the Nederland Mining Museum and the Assay Office Museum. And that program is a great help to us, and we hope it's a help to the seniors as well. And I may be a little mistaken on this, but just so that you know a bit about more about the program, senior tax workers need to be 60 years old or older. They need to be owning and living in a home in Boulder County. And they sign up for the program, fill out a job application, and then they can work at various departments in Boulder County. We are one of those departments where they can work. They are paid a little bit of wages, and those are to go to offset their property taxes. We also, of course, have Jim Drew, our volunteer coordinator at the Agricultural Heritage Center, whom I work with closely. And Jim oversees volunteers and programming at the Agricultural Heritage Center in Longmont. And he also supervises the history programming assistant there, who is a seasonal, and the seasonal livestock and farm maintenance the seasonal that works there. As you can see in the bottom center of our screen, we have our volunteers. And we could definitely not do the programming and the awesome history sharing that we do without our volunteers. Right now, we have about 100 volunteers, and they are ages 9 to 90 something. And so we are very pleased. We thank you so much. Our volunteers have a wide range of talents and expertise, probably a lot more than we know. And it's very, very fun to learn from you all and very, very fun for visitors to learn from you as well. Here is our Boulder County Parks and Open Space organizational chart. Again, as of spring of 2026, Jason is our new department director. And you can see, and I hope my cursor will show up, that we are here in the orange area, arrowed area in land stewardship. Stefan is our deputy director. And then if you go right down here to the bottom, education and outreach, the bottom right, another orange arrowed area, you can see our work group. And Eva is our supervisor. And then myself and Jim Drew are right here as well in education and outreach as our cultural history group. Boulder County has a mission statement, as you would probably be able to guess. As trusted stewards of Boulder County's future, we provide the best in public service. Boulder County also has 7 guiding values that we all try to work with and all try to do our best with. Those include inclusion, stewardship, service, engagement, sustainability, innovation, and resilience. Now, these are probably too small for you to see very well on your screen, so please do send an email or a text my way and let me know, and I can certainly send this to you larger so you can read it over more carefully. Parks and Open Space has its own mission too, to conserve natural, cultural, that's where we come in, and agricultural resources and provide public uses that reflect sound resource management and community values. Parks and Open Space has 7 goals, and number 4 is the one that most goes along with cultural history: to protect, restore, and interpret cultural resources for the education and enjoyment of current and future generations. We have sites that we care for and that folks can visit, and you can see they're kind of spread out all over the county, from the Agricultural Heritage Center in Longmont to Altona Schoolhouse on Hile Valley Ranch, a little bit west of Longmont, to the Assay Office Museum in 4 Mile Canyon, the Nederland Mining Museum at Cardinal Mill in the Nederland area, and Walker Ranch Homestead up west of Boulder on Flagstaff. Walker Ranch Homestead is open for its Heritage Days and school days. Otherwise, it is closed to the public. Heritage Days are usually 2 to 3 times a year when Walker Ranch Homestead is open to the public. All of our programming and events are free of charge. And at Heritage Days, folks can stroll around the historic buildings and visit with our volunteers in costume and do chores and play games from about the 1880 to 1900 time period, and kind of see what it might have been like to live on a mountain ranch in Boulder County during that time frame. School days are somewhat similar. They are school field trips. We usually set aside several days in the fall when groups that are studying Colorado history, generally that's between the 3rd and 5th grade, can come and visit Walker Ranch Homestead for 2 hours. They rotate among different chores and games, again, very much like those played on Heritage Days and shown on Heritage Days. They go for about 20 minutes each at several different stations, and kind of get an idea of what it might have been like to live over 100 years ago on Walker Ranch Homestead. Our Living History volunteers help out at Walker Ranch Homestead, and they are in costume, and our costumes are made and mended by our seamstress and tailor volunteers. We could not have the costume closet that we have at the Agricultural Heritage Center without the help of those very creative folks. The Assay Office Museum is in the community ghost town of Wall Street and 4 Mile Canyon. The miners and investors back in the day hoped that that Wall Street would become as wealthy as New York City's Wall Street, which is why they named it that. We have open house days at the Assay Office Museum, and those are once a month, the 3rd Saturday of each month from May through October. And folks can come and visit and learn about assaying and also learn about the families in the area, particularly the Bailey family, who worked and lived in the Assay Office Museum for, my goodness, I think almost 100 years, maybe even a bit over. Requested tour groups can come to the Assay Office Museum and ask for a tour. A lot of times those are special clubs, maybe clubs from colleges or universities, geology classes, sometimes ghost town clubs or 4-miling clubs, bicycle groups, that kind of thing. The Assay Office Museum is pretty small, and it shares information that's pretty scientific. So school groups are not drawn to the Assay Office Museum quite the way they are to our other sites. Our museum guide volunteers help out at the Assay Office Museum, and because so much of their material is the same, they train with our Nederland Mining Museum volunteers to learn and share that mining history of the area. The Nederland Mining Museum is in the traffic circle in Nederland. You can't hardly miss it. And it is open seasonally, June through October, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And a lot goes on at the Nederland Mining Museum. It's a pretty fun spot. Our hard rock mining tours, which visit mining sites of the area, but not mines, leave in vans from the Nederland Mining Museum about once a month during its season. Again, about once a month, we hold gold panning, and everyone could try to see if they can strike it rich there and pan for gold the way those first miners did in Boulder County. We also have something new, small engine days, once a month at the Nederland Mining Museum. Engines were vital to running things around the mines, running things for farming and the like many years ago. And so they fire up some of those small engines so that folks can see and hear what that was really like to get your appliances and get things running back in the day and your tractors and such. Evening at the museum He's also held at the Nederland Mining Museum. Usually that's about once a year, sometimes twice a year in the summer or fall. And it's more of a traditional lecture style presentation about mining, about mountain lore, and that kind of thing held at the museum in the evening. We also do have group tours and school field trips that come to the mining museum. And our museum guide volunteers help us out at the mining museum and do a wonderful job of collaborating and working together and learning together. Cardinal Mill is also another one of our sites. And Cardinal Mill used to have open house days and be part of our hard rock mining tours. The exterior of it, the outside of it, is still part of hard rock mining tours, but we can't visit the inside right now. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. So hard rock mining tours and the open house days would leave in vans and go to Cardinal Mill from the Nederland Mining Museum. Field trip groups have also asked to visit the museum. Again, kind of like the assay office, usually there are geology clubs or specialty clubs and not school groups, just because the site is, again, pretty scientific, again, a little bit rougher to run a school group through than some of our traditional sites. We do have a limited visit time frame, and right now the interior of the mill is not being visited by visitors. We don't go in it either unless we have proper PPE and protective equipment. We have nesting bats that like Cardinal Mill, and so we're trying to share the space with them. And one issue that bats in the areas have right now is white nose syndrome, and that's very devastating to them. And so because we could carry white nose syndrome on our shoes and on our clothing and not even know it and spread it from place to place in the mill to another building, that kind of thing. Right now, we're not visiting Cardinal Mill, but someday we hope we will be able to again. And then we'll, or learn new ways that we can protect the bats. We can't spread white nose syndrome among ourselves, but we can spread it among bats and not even know that we're doing it. So we're trying to be protective and work with our wildlife biologists so that that does not happen. Altona Schoolhouse is another one of our sites. It is on Hile Valley Ranch. And it was a schoolhouse from the 1880s to the 1940s. And now we share there what school was like back in that time period. On the first Sunday from June through September, we have open house days, and visitors who are using the trails, running, biking, walking, can also go into the schoolhouse, and that's a lot of fun. We have field trips that come to Altona School, clubs, school groups, scout groups. And when we do those field trips, we have two themes that the teachers can choose from. Folks can learn about 1880s school and kind of see what it was like to have been a student in a school like Altona School back in the day. Or they can learn about mining, because the Altona community was a small town and it was a hub for buying your mining supplies back in the old-fashioned times and going up to places like Ward and Jamestown to actually do that mining. If you had add an extra half hour to your hour-long program as a field trip at Altona School, you can also add on some outdoor games, and that's a lot of fun too, to see what kinds of games kids played long ago. Our Altona educator volunteers are our super educators at Altona School and share the school with visitors. The Agricultural Heritage Center in Longmont on Highway 66 on the way to Estes Park is another one of our sites. It is open seasonally. It's open April through October, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and then the first Saturday of March during those wintertime months, November through March. And it's a lot of fun. There's lots to see, lots to do. And there's lots of variety in what our volunteers can take part in at the Agricultural Heritage Center. We have tour guides, we have demonstrators, we have livestock caretakers, gardeners, and all kinds of other helpers as well. And something really cool at the Agricultural Heritage Center that we don't have elsewhere are animals. We have animals that come to visit us, usually from late March to early October, and they stay at the Agricultural Heritage Center, and our critter caretaker volunteers feed and water them every morning and evening. And our visitors learn an awful lot about animals from those very animals. We have developed relationships with local farmers and ranchers, and they are very kind to lend us their animals to show folks what it was like to live on a farm and be around animals long ago and even today. Sometimes this is the first chance that folks get, children and adults, to be up close and personal to animals and to really see, hear, and even smell what those animals do. And it can be pretty cool, some of their reactions and the things that all of us learn from the animals that are at the Agricultural Heritage Center. We've also delved into the virtual world, especially during COVID. We did that. We have some virtual field trips. Teachers can take their students on a virtual field trip to enhance what they've learned before or after they visit our sites. But also they can do that instead of visiting. If the weather is bad or if they're from far, far away, they could do a virtual field trip instead of coming to one of our sites. We have our Cultural History Corner videos that came out during COVID. Oh gosh, I think every couple weeks or at least once a month. And those share short tours of some of our buildings at our sites. They have living history demonstrations, like that picture shows the Frankel girls, some of our volunteers playing games, old-fashioned games. And so there are demonstrations and different kinds of things that you can experience with the Cultural History Corner videos. And then we also have a shot there from one of our virtual programs that one of our volunteers led about the evolution of farming equipment. And that was, I believe, for Fraser Meadows Senior Living, but we've done them for all kinds of other sites as well on different kinds of topics. And if there is something you would like to research and present on, that would be wonderful. Let me know. We could do it virtually, but we could also do it perhaps as an evening at the museum or an in-person program at one of our other museums or at Parks and Open Space. It would be a lot of fun. And like I said before, we have an artifact collection, and we have to manage that. And it has lots of different elements. Almost anything you can imagine is in our artifact collection. Ideally, those items are from the Parks and Open Space properties that we have purchased, or they are like the items that folks used in their everyday lives and their everyday work at those properties. Again, our artifact collection, we have to keep track of it, and PastPerfect helps us do that. PastPerfect is a cataloging software, and now it is on the cloud. And so this is a screen from PastPerfect, and it shows the Patasso brothers mailbox from Patasso Reserve. And I'm sorry, Patasso Preserve. And it is now in our artifact storage, but it used to be there on Patasso. And so when we get artifacts in, when we find them on properties that we feel they're worthy of saving to tell about that property or the people who live there, or when folks donate them to us, and we decide that they should be in our collection, we take a photo of the item, we measure it, we note its condition, we note where it came from, we note as much about it as we can. If there's any research about it, we note that and put it all into PastPerfect, all into the computer, all into the cloud. And then it's there forever. And then we know where that item's going to go in artifact storage or on exhibit at one of our sites. And then when one of us wants to look it up again, we will know by its number and by its location and everything that was carefully noted there where it is, so we can find it again and maybe change its location, put it on exhibit somewhere else, maybe loan it to another museum, maybe have a researcher look at it, and then we will put it back exactly where PastPerfect says, and so that the next person who needs to use it can find it. If we have items that need to be carefully climate controlled or kept carefully and kept neatly, you can see down in the bottom left-hand corner those archival boxes. So we would put photos and letters and those kinds of things in there. And let's see what else we have. Yes, this is an item in our artifact collection. I believe on this item, it says it's a Harpo lute. It's something a little different that I've not seen before. I need to do research on it. It's kind of like a combination between a mandolin and an auto harp, and it is at the Assay Office Museum, and it is on exhibit. It was donated to us by someone from that community, from the Wall Street community, and music was super important to the miners in the area. About every Saturday night, I'm sure just when the weather was good, they would have Saturday night dances, and music was played at those. And instruments like this were in people's homes and taken to those dances and used, to bring a little bit of art, a little bit of joy, a little bit of fun to those hardworking communities. And this, yes, this is a spittoon. Now, if you frequent the Nederland Mining Museum, they use the spittoon to collect donation money from visitors. But I believe this spittoon is at the Agricultural Heritage Center. on exhibit. And of course, folks would spit their tobacco into spittoons back in the day. So a little bit ick, something we're not used to anymore, but something that certainly would have been common in households and in businesses, 100 years ago or more. And I thank you so much again for your attention. And we so appreciate you as volunteers and look very forward to working with you at our museums. Here's my contact information and Jim's contact information, and we thank you so much. All right. Well, thanks very much. And if you have questions, please do reach out. You can email me or text me, and I know that we'll be in touch. And I'll say goodbye, and I thank you very much.